Myles Kennedy. Let's see, you said Year of the Tiger. Title track, obviously. Most people know that song, at least, if you've heard anything off of this. But if you haven't, if you haven't already heard Devil on the Wall, which honestly is probably the most southern rock sounding track on the record, to its merit. Great Beyond is definitely even more of a rocker to follow it up, and I think a lot of people will probably talk about that one a lot more, at least in terms of its composition, I guess. But to me, from more lyric, this is Myles going more, hence even more so with the hat, a country-ish album, but more still rock record in structure, but more like an acoustic rock record that just happens to have all this other stuff going on that you would see more out of. Kind of trying to go more blues-based, but in a very country kind of way. Country Americana kind of way, I would say. And of course, this is his official debut. He had tried to work on one a while back, but kind of scrapped it. Plus, he was kind of busy with dealing with Slash, and then, trying to deal with Alter Bridge, and then all that. This, of course, being completely different in that regard, but also kind of makes me wonder if maybe we'll get if some of this is going to somewhat seep into, and it's not that it hasn't in the past with Alter Bridge, with Rise Today, if you think about the intro to a degree. And maybe some of the way they did the song, there is a little bit of a southern charm to it. If you turn your ear to it a little bit. And I should mention Blackbird could almost be in a way there. You could say Blackbird for Alter Bridge would be their Freebird. But, not nearly as positive a message, but it does in the end with that track. But yeah, classic. If you haven't heard of Alter Bridge, what's the fuck's wrong with you? Mayfield 4, I kind of understand that, or have at least probably been introduced to him via Rockstar somewhere with his cameo wearing a Thor helmet or something going on the stage or whatever. That's pretty well what most people will know of Myles Kennedy for. Well, probably should know Myles Kennedy for, but mostly Alter Bridge and his time with Slash, more than likely. And hopefully, though unlikely, but sadly, in this case, with this record, which not only sonically is it different, it goes into that style, but it primarily focuses on his, on the death of his father, and what his mother had to go through, technically trying to raise him on his own, or at least with who she would eventually marry, the preacher he would eventually marry sometime after the events of his dad's passing when he was 4, and to think this whole thing started, especially this song, when he was mowing the lawn. That's most songs when Myles comes up with something, even for Alter Bridge. To mow a lawn, he might come up with something to hum. If you're not busy listening to something else, in my case. All he knows mow a lawn, you might figure something out. Which can be kind of surprising given sometimes the noises you can kind of piece together and make something compositionally out of it if you tried. If you're like a Prodigy or something. More so. But, back to the album. Sorry. This, Beyond, is definitely a really good one. It's definitely one of the more rockier and definitely the more Ultra Bridge-ish kind of sounding, but like stripped down to a more acoustic or Americana style, I guess, if you would say. Other songs kind of come off definitely more grittier and more, definitely in a more bluesy or southern kind of way, I would say, more so or less. And that would definitely be in the sense that his father had basically had this one disease. I forgot what it was specifically, but he wouldn't, because of him being a Christian Scientist, being, of Christians, his belief of Christian Science, where in terms of having of not bothering to get help from doctors or any form of modern medicine to deal with his cancer or whatever it was he had, and he just never would accept it. And songs that really touch up on that, on his own perspectives mostly, or if more so his own mother's. But, tracks like Blind Faith, for example. How faith can be blind, but it cannot justify the tragedy of a love's demise we can't replace. Final right there. No final right, there will be no last goodbye. Like a whisper in the night, you slipped away. More importantly, the line here of, I know you're steadfast in your ways, never compromise your faith, but is it worth it in the end to never see my face again? Lines like that really, especially with the way he delivers it, knowing how great a tenor he is considered to be. And, of course, going into the chorus below. And then, it does, after Devil on the Wall, it does start to kind of lag a little bit. Musically, and compositionally, it's still all around. This album is solid. At this point, it's more about where the lyrics come into play. And it's not terribly bad, or at least it doesn't, do a lot in comparison to moving whatever story he's trying to tell forward. Ghost of Shangri-La. Turning Stone is definitely, they're all still good, but there's some people will probably feel like it's filler in places. And though in between, and filler that definitely kind of goes in between tracks like Devil on the Wall, and of course one of my favorites to me that may come off to some people maybe filler when they hear the album, but to me I like this track. For me it's something that, it's something I think a lot of people, especially if you're more, not so much if you're mourning, maybe if you're a morning person, or having these moments, these sort of human moments of your life, of just like, I don't want to fucking deal with this anymore or something. Or at least in my case, a lot of this has kind of happened with me, even more so even lately, I guess. Lately I've been losing sleep, haunted by desire. I'm my own worst enemy when I try to close my eyes. It's more, trying to, even to the point of just, they never let me be, turning every fear and dread from whisper to a scream. I keep searching, I can't find any kind of respite from the noise inside. The clock is laughing, don't ask me why. Halls of my mind, I'm still haunted by design. And, everyone has this momentous feeling, I think. So it's kind of one of those types of things. See, it's being fever dreams, even to points of counting sheep. The only thing about this is, most of this is kind of trying to take it from his mother's perspective, if not also kind of through his own perspective in a way. And after this track, Mother is definitely a huge little homage that he has to, that is a complete homage to following this track, which even compositionally, it always seems to get me every time. I mean, more so by the point of the chorus, but even the beginning lines, you know. And then, you know, and then there's, of course, as is like I've said, with Mother holds her head up high, conquering the great divide, 1,000 miles beyond the grave. So the blind Mother knows what must be done, fighting for her precious ones. There can be no compromise, no matter what may come. When all hope is left to die, a mother's love survives. This chorus, in and of itself, kind of gives this song... You could probably use this for Mother's Day. I mean, at least via the chorus if you had to. Yeah, future reference for some people, I guess, if you needed something to go off of. And it was like the one thing that I guess his mother had and what at least helped him get through, you know, dealing with his loss as well with it. And it's just, I think it played somewhat of a part of him being apparently agnostic. I thought it was atheist, but I guess it's agnostic. I'm not entirely sure. Now, Nothing But a Name is definitely another example. Like I said with Blind Faith, it's another example of something that definitely, where you tell that things do get to hit hard a lot more. More in terms of, in the deep below the tide, I still drown from time to time. I still miss you now, I still miss you now. The beast I thought I put to rest always rears its ugly head. I still miss you now. It's a bitter pill to take when you're left behind with nothing but a name. Nothing but a name. What you do in time forever will define what you were to those who wait. For love they can't replace, the broken-hearted left with nothing but a name. And it's just, you know, just dealing with, I guess, dealing in the sense of the grief of it all. Feeling of it all, of everything, to the point where even to the point of, in the haze of midnight wine, I won't hold back, I'll speak my mind, I still miss you now, I still miss you now. Your conviction, your belief, how could you choose that over me? I still miss you now. Gosh, God damn, I still miss you now. So impossible to face when all that's left behind is nothing but a name. As the chorus keeps going, if I could forget all the things you left unsaid, my whole life I have tried to guess who you were and why you left. It's a bitter pill to take when all that's left behind is nothing. So impossible to face when all that's left behind is nothing but a name. And as the chorus goes on and all that, it's definitely one of the deeper tracks for sure that hits. I mean, and of course, Love Can Only Heal was also, I think, the last song that was kind of promoted for this album prior to its release. And that one was fine. I mean, the La La La's I could kind of deal without, but... And then, of course, it kind of tries to bring a more upbeat, good moving forward for, I guess, his mother through tracks like Songbird and more so One Fine Day. They don't really hit nearly in the same way as Love Can Only Heal, but it just kind of tries to do what it can to close out the album. And overall, as just an album as a whole, I might be a little judging on this, but I've got to fucking rocks. You gotta check it out and give it a chance, especially if you want to hear something new from what Myles has to offer compared to what he's done with Alter Bridge, or even that. And allow him to bring you some, and even more so the fact that it comes off even more personal because of what he had to his mother had to deal with and all that kind of stuff. And so to some degree what he was kind of dealing with at that time, the year the Tiger was, when it was the year that his father had passed away from from the disease or cancer or whatever it was considered by the Chinese zodiac to be the year of the tiger. Hence the name of the album, and him just kind of going through all of it, and hopefully he was trying to get his mother's approval of this as well, and hopefully she does, and she should. It's good. Well, she probably enjoys track 8 a lot. But anyway, it rocks. I want to give it the masterclass certification that I just decided to start doing, but I can't quite really say that. I mean, I think some people who aren't as into country, or maybe you're taken aback by what you normally expect from Myles via his other bands, I think you should definitely check this out and give it more of a shot. Definitely don't rest on it. Give it a shot. It might hold you over till Tremonti comes up with something, I guess. Well, definitely going to hold me over, I'll tell you that. And definitely, given my recent interests in more underground or outlawish country, definitely something to recommend in that regard. But what did you guys think of this album? Myles Kennedy's Year of the Tiger. What y'all think? Comment below. Rock that like button with thrust if you must. Also check out my Facebook page, which I know I don't promote enough. I'm aware. And I need to start doing that. So, there's that as well. And as always, guys, keep it random. Keep it real. Keep it rocking. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, y'all. Please, check it out.